Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Bianconeri zone. Today we are diving into the latest Juve transfer rumors that have been making waves from the Champions League spotlight on Lille's Eden Zeghorva to the ongoing speculations about Jonathan David, Dusan Vlahovic, and an update on Federico Gotti's contract renewal. There's a lot to unpack, so make sure that you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and let's talk. Let's talk first off with Zeghorva, who plays for Lille. He was in top form during Juve against Lille the other day, and he definitely didn't go unnoticed. Not by the fans, not by Giuntoli. Juve is no stranger to the talents of the 24-year-old only, because he was already on the radar in the summer. Now, in the last transfer window, the past transfer window, so in the summer, Giuntoli had his eyes on Zeghorva. However, he and the club ultimately decided to go with other players like Conceição, like Gonzalez. So you might be wondering, why didn't Juve seal that deal for Zeghorva back then? Because it was only quoted to be 50 million euros. It wasn't an insane price. It wasn't an impossible deal to do, but they still went for Conceição and Nico Gonzalez. Well, sometimes in football, timing and circumstances are everything, but you know, the quote-unquote exciting part is that Juve hasn't lost sight of him, according to Gazzetta dello Sport. They still view Zeghorva as a valuable option, and they could revisit him as a potential signing next summer, because his playing style, he would definitely add something to Juve. Like, let's not kid ourselves. He would add something to Juve. He would add a spark to what looks like a very slowish front line right now. But we made a decision for Gonzalez. We made a decision for Conceição. We need to pay a lot of money for both players. We need to keep that in mind. You know, when we signed Gonzalez, I think everybody's first initial thought was, that's a lot of money. That was my initial thought. I was like, that's way too much what you're paying for Nico Gonzalez. But they went for ready-made, Serie A proven. It will get us back on top in Serie A. He's injured right now, so we cannot really comment if it's a flop or not a flop. It's way too soon for that. But we made a decision to go with a player with the profile of Zeghorva rather than Gonzalez, and also probably for triple the price almost, you know, or like at least double the price. So it is an interesting one by Giuntoli. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you think Zeghorva would be a good fit. You know, don't let the game against Cabal fool you. You know, not to say that Zeghorva is not a good player, but he cooked him, and I think a lot of players are gonna cook Cabal in the near future, defensively especially. But that's Zeghorva. It doesn't stop there, because Lille and Juve, or especially Juve, have trying to create a weird connection with Lille, you might say. So now on to Jonathan David, because he, or the striker, he's been linked to Juve heavily, you know, the last couple of, basically year, but especially the last couple of months. You know, there's a lot to unpack here, because his potential arrival could be directly tied to the future of Vlahovic. We know Vlahovic's contract situation is quote-unquote up in the air. We know what the transfer fee or the wages are. We know what we are dealing with. We know that we need to find a solution to that quote-unquote problem. So the situation is that they held the talks with David under the radar, and with under the radar, I mean, I think they believe under the summer. That's what I think they're trying to say. But he made it clear, Giuntoli made it clear, that before any real moves from Juve, he first needs to know what's going to happen with Vlahovic. That's the report, which is a bit weird, because you still need a backup, and I doubt Milik is the answer past this summer as well. So what does that mean, you know, for Juve? Vlahovic is the key. You know, if they don't come to an agreement, then they will push on for David. If they find an agreement, I think other teams will just swoop in, because they can promise David something we definitely not can. He's not coming to sit on the bench, or we're not going to bench Vlahovic. You know, that's not happening. So it's all tied to Vlahovic. What is going to happen with Vlahovic? You know, we definitely need additions, because we're only playing Vlahovic. But right now, it feels like it's just wait and see. It feels like it's way too soon to say, let's go that, because David with his speed, and right now, just the know-how to find the back of the net, it could be a dynamic thing to the front line, like a Zeghorva, because they're different profiles than what we have. He's only 23-year-old. I get it. He's free in the summer. That's a big one, and that's also potentially a problem because signing on bonuses and wages other teams can offer, we can't right now. But he also has plenty of room to develop, and he's shown that the last couple, let's say the last year and a half, because he took massive steps. Because at one point I was like, he's not gonna develop anymore. It felt very stale, but he took those steps. So if you secure that type of player, you secure a player for the years to come. So it's definitely a situation to keep an eye on. But right now, that's a situation basically. Now let's move on to Gotti. Let's finally talk about that piece of news, because there's a lot to talk about his contract, surrounding his contract. He's 25, and he's been playing solid this season. I'm not going to deny that. So he's due for a contract extension, apparently, with an agreement likely to extend his stay until 2029, along with a salary adjustment. So he's probably going to get a little pay raise again. But we need to be patient. That's basically the reporting, because right now there are no real meetings scheduled. So it looks like we have to wait a few more weeks until maybe December, potentially, when they see what are we going to do with that back line. Are we going to invest, yes or no? And it could be a big thing for Juve, because some absolutely love Gotti and love what he brings to the table, and locking him up until 29 is, well, massive if you believe that. And some might be at ease knowing that, hey, we're gonna renew Gotti's contract. I'm at a point where I'm like, if you can cash in, you cash in. Nothing really against Gotti, but I still do not see highs, where I'm like, or he hasn't shown me anything that makes me believe that he will be an unmissable defender and we cannot lose him and we shouldn't be cashing out, because I think there are so many better options out there, more versatile options, better defenders, just better footballers as well, that the club needs to think about this. You're gonna lose Danilo and you're gonna need to rebuild that back line. We don't know how Bremer is coming back. You don't know how Kalulu will perform from now until, I don't know, the end of the season. You don't know these things, so you need to be careful as a club. I know a lot of people are not gonna like it, but I still will cash in on a player like Gotti if an offer comes in, because I think you can definitely improve on these type of players, and we always need to find ways to improve our squad. So there you have it. Those are the latest Juventus transfer updates, because usually we don't talk about transfers, but now there are some updates, from potential summer targets like Zeghorva, like David, to a contract talk about Gotti. It's shaping up basically to be some interesting few months, especially with the January transfer window coming in, and knowing we need a defender, so it's gonna be interesting. But that's it. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, notifications on as always, and let me know in the comments, would you rather see Zeghorva play for Juve or David, or both? Do you think we need both of them and we should be pushing for both of them? Could be, so let me know in the comments. Like again, and I will speak to you guys very, very soon. Ciao.